Hey guys, thanks for checking out today's video. Today I'm just going to go through my eyeshadow palette collection. It's not going to be a declutter. I'm literally just going to show you everything I currently have in my collection. I don't know, I think it's interesting to see what other people have, how much other people have. I definitely have more than a normal amount. Or also so you guys can see what I have in my collection to request looks with. So in no particular order at all. I store palettes in kind of like 3-4 places. So all of these were in my Alex drawers that I'm going to go through first. And then I have like a couple of like letter organizers where I keep other palettes. So we're just going to start with what was in the drawer. No alphabetical order, nothing like that. Yes, and if you see this pink X, that it's just to help me keep the palettes centered when I'm showing them to you. So first up we have the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries. I already filmed this video once and like you could constantly see me in the mirror, so I'm gonna try and not do that this time. You might be able to see my filming setup though, but I don't need you looking at my double chin. Anyway, this is Dose of Colors Blushing Berries. I got this in a boxy charm, yeah. I only used it a handful of times. For some reason, the formula in these little like 5-pan palettes from Dose of Colors I don't really get along with, but I'm still willing to try them out more. Then from that same, like in that same format, this is Sassy Siennas. This one I like more. Pretty for fall. I don't know if I'm gonna do many swatches or like have much to say about every palette. I don't know. I'm not sure what's more interesting. If I have something to say, I'll say it. If there's a really pretty shade, I'll swatch it. That kind of a thing. Okay, next up I have 2 palettes from Natasha Denona. This is the Camel palette. These are like the full size. I will say I like the mattes. This brown is like kind of underwhelming. Definitely need to use like a natural hair brush, and this like champagne shimmer is okay. The mattes are nice though. Then here's the Sunrise palette. I just think these, whatever size pans these are called, like the midi size or the, I'm not sure. I don't have any of the mini palettes, so, but these pans are definitely smaller in comparison to the regular pans. Anyway, this Camel palette was what, $48, but this palette with all these colors was $65, I think. I don't know, I just think it's like a way better value. Anyway, this palette is really fun. I'm just gonna show this random, this is a ColourPop palette. I have some singles from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. Love their formula, in case you were wondering. This is Coconut Slushie, Peach Snowcone, and then this blue one is Summer Fling. These are all shades in their Summer Vibes palette, I believe it's called. I didn't want the whole palette, but I did get those 3 singles. And I have one of their full palettes I'll get to later on. All right, let's go through some Ace Beaute. So this was the first palette I ever got from Ace. Is it Ace Beaute or Ace Beauty? I don't know. We're just gonna call them Ace. This is the Grandiose palette. I think it's like a pretty wearable palette. I got this in a boxy charm. When I got this, I didn't love it, but I kept it around. And then more recently, Vintage Dawn came in a boxy charm, and I was really impressed with this formula, especially the blue for some reason. And so that inspired me to actually pick up 2 more palettes from Ace. And I got these in a boxy pop-up sale, I think is what it's called. I don't know. I think that's what it was, boxy pop-up. This is the Oceanic palette. It is like, oh, so pretty. It just has a very interesting variety of like tone and depth of green and blues. Very impressed with this palette as well. And then the final palette I have from Ace, I also got this in a boxy pop-up, is the Flair palette. And I just think this has like such great color variety. I really love their matte formula. It's very like buildable, and a lot of their shimmers are really nice. Not all of them are amazing, but I would say they're pretty nice. This is another boxy charm palette. This is the Celestial Thunder from Dominique Cosmetics. I wouldn't say I was overly impressed with this one. I've used it a couple times. I'm not ready to get rid of it, but I just found the formula like so-so. This is my only mini palette from Huda. This is the Topaz. It's definitely wearable. I think that's why I got it. The Gemstone Obsessions palette's really called to me. This is the only one I picked up. The shimmers are definitely nice. No complaints, really. It's a cute palette. All right, these next two palettes are special to me because these are the first palettes I ever truly received in PR. They're from Nomad, so thank you, Nomad. This is a Malibu quad. Just has some pretty browns. I love this seafoam color and then a shimmery champagne. And this is the Encinitas. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying that right. This is another quad. So you got two browns, a pop of blue, and this pink is actually really nice. All right, this is the Tribe by Juvia's Place. If I can get it open. I love Juvia's formulas. I really love their mattes. Some of the shimmers I find can be hard to build up or they're kind of on the dry side, but overall I really enjoy the formula and they're very affordable. And this color story is just very unique. This is kind of a random palette. This is the PUR My Little Pony collab. Now, I don't really use this. For a time, I came in here for the matte white because I didn't have a matte white at some points. But really, I bought this palette because it was like on super sale at Kohl's. And my niece was really into My Little Pony at the time. So I bought her and myself one, and I pretty much keep this around just because it reminds me of her. I don't really have any comments about the formula, and I don't believe it's even available anymore. This is a pre-made palette from Makeup Geek, and this was the Pumpkin Spice version 2, I believe. I don't know. It didn't, like, it's fine. It didn't blow me away. I don't know. But these are the only singles I have and have ever had from Makeup Geek. Here's a Safari Raine palette from Colored Raine. This palette is beautiful. My only complaint is that this looks like it would be like a purple, but it really just kind of shows up like taupey gray. I don't know. Anyway, their formula is great. Highly recommend. I would definitely buy more palettes from Colored Raine. Okay, I have two palettes here from Kaleidos. My future mother-in-law's getting married in July, got these for me for Christmas. So this is Sci Fi Greens, gorgeous. If I could change anything though, I feel like these two matte greens are too similar. Like they could have changed it up. I think, who was it? Annette's Makeup Corner talked about this and I was like, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. But their formulas are really nice and this black is amazing. And this is the Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. And this color story, I think like there's good variety, good texture. Like none of the shades are too close together. This shade down here is like a really pretty topper. I hope I'm in frame. I should check that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've really enjoyed their formulas and I was so excited to get to try Kaleidos. All right, we have a couple of ABH palettes here. Here's the Soft Glam. I don't use it a ton, but it is nice. I just hate that so much kick up. I don't know. It just feels like annoying or wasteful to me, but I mean, it's a good palette. I think their shimmers are absolutely stunning. The ever popular Subculture. I just think this color story is very unique. I will say that when you put the mattes down, they kind of stay where you put them. It can be difficult to blend, but again, I think the color story was so unique and still is in my opinion, and so that's why I keep it around. I absolutely think for the price, you really can't beat ColourPop if you want to add variety to your makeup collection. So here's It's My Pleasure. My niece requested purple eyeshadow for a dance recital and She ended up breaking and dropping in these shades. Some of them fell out. This isn't the right order, but anyway, I really enjoy this palette. Again, just the price and the quality and the variety you can get. I just think ColourPop's great. Next up, we have Main Squeeze. So this is like the red themed palette. This is probably like one of my least favorites, but it's still nice. Again, I just love the variety. And what's really nice about ColourPop palettes is you can actually pop the pans out. They're magnetic, so you could like rearrange them in your own little palettes if you wanted to. Orange You Glad. This one's so fun. This is one of my favorites. I don't know, something about it is just so satisfying to me. The Soul palette. This was like before the monochrome series really like took off, or at least that's when I got it, before that really took off. So it's fine. I actually haven't really used it that much, but it's a cute palette. Here's Smoke Show. It's actually renamed now to Blowing Smoke, but I think this is a really neat palette to have around. First of all, like some of these shimmers are just like absolutely unreal. Like you don't get a smoother, prettier shimmer than that. But yeah, this palette has been very useful. I mean, creating monotone looks, it is cool, but like even just having like a good matte white and like some of these grays has been very useful, but overall it's a beautiful palette. All right, we have Ooh La La. This is the pink palette. I think this one's okay. The Sandbar shade is like really bright though. Honey. This one is also one of my favorites, along with the Orange You Glad. Although I will say with this one, you can't really get that like a good depth. This is the deepest color, but for my skin tone, it's fine. And I still just really enjoy the palette. Just My Luck. I think this was the very first 9 pan I ever got. I will say this is definitely my least favorite of the monochrome series from ColourPop, because like look at pretty much all these greens. They're just like the same tone of green, but like stepping down in depths, and like that's a shimmer and that's a shimmer, but they're just like, I don't know. And then like Mary Jane is fun, All of You, and Charmed. Like these three could create a like different kind of green, whereas pretty much the entire rest of the palette like really just creates the same kind of green look in varying depths. Whereas like when you compare that to, where's my Oceanic palette? Like you compare that to the Oceanic palette and see like there's just more variety in tone and depth that I feel like ColourPop kind of missed out on in this one. Blue Moon. This is another really fun one. I've used this quite a few times. I would say if you ever wanted Jeffree Star Blue Blood, but you don't want to spend the money, this is a really good alternative. You get a really nice variety of tone, depth, and finish with this one. Here's the ColourPop and Elsa. This one, again, I bought because of my niece. I didn't buy her one, but I bought it because it reminds me so much of her. I wonder how similar, but this is Ice Crystals. Also very pretty. I wonder how similar that is. I mean, they're pretty similar, but the one from the Smoke Show palette like has a hint more depth or like blue to it or something. Anyway, but this palette's cute. It's definitely like not my favorite. I'll probably never get rid of it because it reminds me of my niece, but it was fun to play with. Okay, the last 2 9 pans from ColourPop. We have Going Coconuts. Absolutely love this one. This shade, Cocoa Crush. Stunning. Absolutely love it. Great lid shade. Also, I have so many swatches. De Coco. I'm in love with the Coco. Is that a saying? It's a, I mean, it looks subtle, but it's a very good lid shade also. Anyway, I think ColourPop just did like an absolutely perfect job with this one. Like the mattes are perfect, the shimmers are perfect. It's like you get a good little variety here again with depth, finish. Like it's just a great, well-rounded palette. In fact, this palette is like something I'm considering to wear on my wedding day. Okay, very last one. This is the Brown Sugar palette. This shade never wants to stay magnetized. To be honest, I really haven't used it that much, but it's neutral, so I keep it around. Okay, so that's the first drawer all done. I'm gonna put that stuff away and we'll pull out some more palettes. All right, the next piece of my collection we're gonna go through is basically like the little organizer I keep on my tabletop, which has like what I would consider like everyday neutral type palettes. So that's this organizer over here, and that's what I'm gonna be pulling from. So first up, we have this little Inglot palette that I made in New York City with my grandma at the Inglot store, and she gave it to me for Christmas. So this palette is very special to me, and it's actually not very similar to anything else I have because I don't normally go for like a cooler tone. So I keep this. It is a few years old, but it's kind of like a sentimental thing, and the shadows still work just fine, so I keep using it. Here we have the Desi and Katie Dose of Colors Friendcation palette. I do think this palette is nice. I've gotten a fair bit of use out of it, surprisingly. Like really never have gone into the blues, but I've used this entire other side. Very good, basic, wearable palette. And I much prefer the formula of this palette compared to those like 5-pan Dose of Colors for whatever reason. This is just a little random magnetic palette from ColourPop. Currently there's a Natasha Denona single in here, but this is like the palette I would use to like rearrange ColourPop shadows in if I wanted to like dupe the vibe of a palette I really want or something like that. So nothing exciting in there right now. Here is the Warrior 2 by Juvia. I think this is just a good companion palette to have on hand. So like if you're working from a palette and you just like need a certain kind of matte, because these are all mattes, this palette pretty much has you covered. So I find this great to reach into when I'm working from a palette that may not have like a matte to go with the look that I'm trying to do or something like that. If you heard me burping, sorry. Here's my only Pat McGrath item. I bought this, I don't know, for Christmas. I don't know if there's any way to show you this without blinding you, but it's just one of her 6 pans. It's pretty. The mattes, I like some of these shades. It's always hard to capture on camera, but like this red especially is like a duochrome, like coppery gold red flip. Like I don't even know how it's looking on camera, but like when I'm looking at it, it's red. When you're looking at it, it might look more like coppery gold. And then this shade kind of has like a bit of a shift to like a greeny goldy type shift. But would I spend the money for more? I don't know. I don't think so. Like if I had other palettes, I would use them, but generally speaking, I think it's an eyeshadow. All right, this is another BoxyCharm one. I have a lot of palettes from BoxyCharm, which I personally like. So this is the Holy Grail palette, just a really nice basic palette. We have like pretty neutral to pinky to berry. I think it's a good palette. And then last up we have the, oh, I just knocked you, I'm sorry. We have the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. I haven't used this for a really long time, but for some reason I just keep hanging on to it. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's like this formula was good, and then there's so much controversy with Jaclyn, and apparently this palette's been reformulated, and I don't know. I mean, I already bought it. I already have it. So like I should just use it and not be concerned about, you know, all that stuff, because I already spent the money and it would actually be more wasteful to like get rid of it. So I do need to use it more, but I haven't. So those are all the palettes in my like daily little section. I would say these are the most neutral palettes in my collection for the most part. So I'm gonna put these back and we'll get more palettes. All right, so this next little organizer I'm going through actually has like a bunch of palettes that I've pulled out to do looks with for like spring, or yeah, mostly like spring looks for Instagram, or like a palette that I haven't used for a while or something like that. But so like this is a BoxyCharm palette, another Violet Voss. This is the Essentials palette. When I first got it, I wasn't really inspired to use it, but I figured I could probably create some looks with it for Instagram, so I put it up in this organizer in order to do so. I like their formula, but I don't know, this color story just didn't really speak to me. This palette is the ABH Norvina Mini Volume 2. Yes. I love this palette. I got it as a gift for Christmas. Actually, in the most recent video I uploaded to YouTube, I used this palette again. It was randomly selected, I swear. I have several looks on my Instagram with it. I really like this little palette, and I thought I would pull it out again to do some like spring looks. I think it's a good palette for that. This is the Deuce palette by Juvia's Place. Again, I pulled this out because I thought it was very springy. I like to use this shade as a blush, actually. Like if I'm going into this palette, I would just use that as a blush. This is a cool highlighter. It's like a duochrome highlighter, but I think it's just, again, like a perfect little palette to try out for spring. This is my last of the like ABH palettes in this like fuzzy packaging. This is the Norvina. Again, the mattes irritate me with how dusty they are, but the shimmers are very pretty. Okay, this is the last ColourPop palette, I swear, in my collection. This is the Sweet Talk palette. Again, this is just like a really pretty spring palette, nice depth, nice tone variation, lots of different textures. There's a Super Shock. There are glitters, so if you don't like glitters, stay away. But generally speaking, this is like a super nice, well-rounded palette, and I think it's very pretty. All right, here we have Huda Beauty New Nude. And I bought this a while back because for some reason it screamed bridal to me. And this was like, God, well, to be honest, I've been engaged for a long time and I'm finally getting married. But when I bought this at the time, I like looked at it and thought bridal. I don't really think that necessarily anymore, but it is a fun palette. Like these glittery things are just beautiful. All right, this is another BoxyCharm palette, and this is actually like BoxyCharm branded. So swatching, I was actually pretty impressed with some of these shadows. Like, I don't want to blind you, but like this color full size is like really pretty. Yeah, it looks kind of sheer in that swatch, but it's very pretty. Or like this Charmer shade. Like I was actually pretty impressed with the quality of the shadows. So although I wasn't like super inspired to use it necessarily, I did decide to put it up here in this organizer to try and do some looks with it. And the last palette in this organizer is the Give Me Glow Vintage Rose. Guys, if you haven't tried Give Me Glow, their formula is amazing. The mattes are amazing. The shimmers, let me block out the mirror, are unreal. So this is the Blossom shade. Like so opaque and just gorgeous. I just literally love, like, so beautiful. And like they're opaque shimmers. Like they don't really, none of these ones require building anyway. Like they're just gorgeous. And the mattes are really nice too. Like I absolutely love Give Me Glow and their formula. So if there's anything you want to try from them, I would definitely recommend giving them a shot. Okay, so I'm gonna put these palettes back and then we'll go on to the final section of my collection. All right, so the final little organizer from my collection houses like some of my bigger palettes I really just like don't fit in drawers, and also my Jeffree Star palettes. So I'll just do all the Jeffree Star ones together. So let's do these too. So here we have the ABH Norvina Volume 3. This one, okay, like how do I master not getting the mirror? If at any point during this video you've seen my double chin or dirty room, I am so sorry. Anyway, I absolutely love the matte formulas in these Norvina palettes. I just think they're so fun and pigmented and bright and just, I don't know, I just love them. The shimmers, I will admit, are definitely not where this palette shines, but I think it's just a really fun palette. Now, I didn't buy any of the other bigger volumes, but I would if I had the money. Here's the BH Zodiac palette. This palette, I don't know, I wanted it for like a really long time. And now that I have it, like I've done some looks with it and like, I don't know, I'm just never like really pulled towards it. I kind of want to get the love signs. I feel like that's a more exciting color story. But yeah, I'm still not getting rid of this. I still feel like it has some life left in my collection. All right, so for all my Jeffree Star palettes, I think pretty much all of these, I think all of these are actually like gifts from my friend. We just buy each other the same thing. So like I bought her, you know, the blue blood and she bought me the blue blood, that kind of thing. Maybe the Jawbreaker collection, we didn't do that. I can't remember, but anyway. Yes. Oh, and pretty much everything, the only PR items that I had were those two Nomad palettes. Everything else was either purchased by me or given to me as a gift, like from a friend for like a holiday or birthday or something like that. All right, so here's the mini breaker. This is like a purpley, mostly purpley pinky palette, but it is a fun palette. I really like Jeffree's formula. Some of the mattes, not in this palette, but like all the mattes in here are great. I like his shimmers. Some of his mattes can be like very stiff and hard, but I think that's mostly just in the blue blood, which is like a very hard color to formulate anyway. But yeah, I really like all of my palettes from Jeffree, and this one's no exception. The Thirsty palette. I haven't really used this one maybe more than like, I'm embarrassed to say maybe twice, and I think it's discontinued. Damn, I can't, he discontinued the Alien for sure, and I think this one may have been discontinued as well. Anyway, the texture of those like shimmery shades in the middle is like very pretty, and I love his matte formula, so I think this is a fun palette. Alien. This was my very first palette or item from Jeffree at all, and it is discontinued, but honestly, I think this is my number 2 favorite, but the formula in this palette was just like knocked out of the park. I actually kind of view this as like somewhat of a wearable palette. Like I know there's like these pops of, you know, crazy color, but like there are some really nice neutrals. Like you could wear something like this to the office, or I could. But yeah, I would say this is like my number 2 favorite. But this is the palette that made me think like, oh wow, I really love his formula and want to try more. All right, here is Blue Blood. And I would say of all the palettes, this one has like some of the formulas that are like very hard pressed, like this Flourishing shade. It just like, it's hard pressed in there. Whereas like I'm Cold is like very soft and like swatches a lot better. But I mean, overall they still perform. And like this Ocean Ice shimmer is just like very dry and like crumbly to me. So it's not my most favorite, but it is a nice palette. This Crystal Flesh shade is so stunning. My fingers are all stained, but it looks like that. Yeah, it's very pretty. And then this is the very last palette in my collection. And this is my absolute favorite palette from Jeffree. So this is the Jawbreaker. I have gotten the absolute most use out of this palette. I would say this is my, God, excuse me. This is one of my most colorful. This is basically serves as my rainbow palette. And I have used this for, I don't even know how many looks on my Instagram. I find myself going into this palette all the time. So yeah, if you want one Jeffree Star palette and you're like into color, I would recommend Jawbreaker. All right, guys, well, that's gonna do it for this palette collection video. If you wanna see any other parts of my collection, let me know, leave it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and think about subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.